Okay, so I'm back again. Greetings, beautiful souls. Today is November 29, 2018, take 2. I apologize. I think when I accepted someone's friend request and then it cut me off. So, you know what? It's okay. It's all right. It's all good. I'm back again. I'm going to just go back in and put in the information and then I have to share it again. Second. Greetings, 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 one and all. Okay, I'm going back and then I got to share again. That's why that's why I'm in gratitude that I can laugh through life when things occur. You know, so I'm back again. So just give me uno momento. Of course, Mercury's in retrograde, but I'm not going to use that as a reason for why things happen. I'm just saying, I'm just saying. So give me one moment as I share the videos and see who I can invite to come back on. This is so interesting. Okay, so I'm back again, and I will start as much as I can from the beginning, what I was stating before the first video got cut off. There is a lot of energy going on, a lot of energy, because I was feeling heat coming through my body, and I was starting to get like a headache, some sort of a headache. But anyway, so I'm going to start from the beginning again, as I am sending out greetings to each and every one of you, sending you lots of love this day, this moment. Trying to see where. Okay, now I see the invite. Okay. La 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 la. Just sending out the invites. La 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 la. Okay, I am here. I am just sending out invites and starting again. I'm starting again. Okay. Okay, greetings. Greetings, Kiandra. How art thou? I'm starting all over again because it got cut off. I got cut off. So anyway, I wanted to share with you, I'm making an announcement again. I'm starting all over again because the first video, I think it was my boo-boo. I was accepting someone's request and then it cut off and everything. And I was trying to come back together again. And this is all this energy and all this excitement. Hey, Erica. How are thou, Erica? How's everyone being today? Today is the day. Today is the first day and all the days of the rest of our lives. So what we are... what I want to call it, transformation. Anyway, I wanted to make an announcement for the month of December, the entire month of December. I'll be offering 30-minute readings for $44.44. I've been seeing so many 4s, and I came to a realization, like, wait a minute, every time I had more revelations coming through more than the dreams itself, because I'm like, I'm not having certain dreams, but then I'm paying attention to the time that shows up with the messages that are coming through is through the 4 o'clock hours, either 4 a.m. in the morning. I see 414 or I see 444s. And that's what I noticed. So I've been receiving so many messages as usual and downloads and speaking in tongues and all that beautiful stuff. So I wanted to make that announcement again to do with me offering readings during the month of December. I am giving back to those who are in need if you need extra information, because you never know, iron sharpens iron. And also just to, to see what we can celebrate together, an exchange of energy for one another. And I just want to look at it more of a magical month than, subjecting it to saying this is the Christmas season and so forth. I look at this more as a magical season. So anyway, something magically happened just before I came on here. Greetings, Keandra. And happy Earth birthday again. And what was interesting is that, you know, I put out a video earlier today. I had downloads that was coming in. Greetings, Ian. I had some downloads that were coming into me and through me, I should say, around 4 o'clock this afternoon. So I just started recording and it was so full of passion and all that kind of stuff. So I usually, you know, I just don't do things the same as everyone else. So sometimes I'll not be live and I'll just be recording and just be in the moment because I've been guided to go back to recording again to do with the book. If any of you know, anyone knows, I'm doing a book called The Return of the Garden of Eden, and it has to do with everything to do with all of us, myself, my journey, my twin soul journey, you know, everything and all things, and it's in the moment and it's audio. So everything that you see out there, it's all going to be in the book, and there's always so much things that are, you know, happening simultaneously. And so just before, I'm going to go forwards and backwards. So just before I went on the live, I was eating and I said, you know, I have a very funny feeling I was going to get some messages from my fortune cookies, because I always tell Tom, hi Tom, if you're watching, I always tell him, make sure you give me my fortune cookies. So my fortune cookies, you can't make this shit up. It was in chronological order, okay? And the first one said, it says, enjoy what you have, never mind fame and power. And then the second one I opened up, because this is in the order. The second one said, enjoy the small things to find on your path. And then the next one after that said, could I get some directions? And it said, to where? To your heart. And then the next one says, how dark is dark and how wise is wise. So I knew right away it had to do with what was confirming everything that I've been speaking about and what I've been going through. So I know many of you, you know, if you're paying attention anyway, have been going through, I say, more of an integration for the past several weeks, because of course we had Venus that was in retrograde, and we were going through all the dark shadows, dark side of ourselves and the feminine principle. And then, you know, the full moon in Gemini, that was another doozy. And, you know, for me, it felt like, oh, you know, like, oh my God, what do I do next? And I felt like I've been I wouldn't say I was purging, but more like I was just really getting it out. And everything to do with, you know, the emotions, the feelings, you know, and honoring them. So if you have anything that you want to share with me, with others, please feel free to share. I had some messages I wanted to give, you know, because I know that there's so much that is transpiring. We are ending cycles here because, you know, the 111 is not just saying, oh, it's 11111, but we're also ending cycles of, I would say, energy that we've had for a very long time, you know, because the soul, we travel the distance, we travel through each element of something or someone to get back to where we are, to come back to the self. So I was putting more pieces to everything, you know, of what's been happening with me, what's been happening with anyone else, what's coming through, what's flowing through, where we're heading next. You know, we're heading into a new cycle. And it's not just subjected to saying when January 1st comes in, if the cycle is happening right now. So it's almost like literally closing the cycle and ending certain cycles of certain things that you've experienced. And what are you choosing to take with you? And how much are you allowing yourself to come back into your true authentic power? And so it hit me like a light bulb, you know, this afternoon, just like that, you know, where I said, oh my gosh, I said, when I think of Dorothy from The Wizard of Oz, to me, it felt more like really embracing your true power and not just say you're clicking your heels just to come back home. And so when it comes to embracing our power, a lot of times we're looking for someone's approval or permission or something like that, because as you keep awakening to yourself, there's more things that start to unravel. And then when you start to feel all this energy and all this power within you, then sometimes what happens is you become afraid of it. Or you're afraid of what someone says, or if you're coming from the strong religious background and no, don't do this because this is demonic or the devil or something like that. Or, you know, or sometimes one is so afraid because you want someone else to be just like you and you don't want to feel like you're alone with this. But I tell you this, that the more you allow yourself to shine and come forth with yourself and your true self and all that stuff, and you start to feel that empowerment come within you, it really doesn't matter anymore what anybody else says. So it's like really stepping into yourself in I would say in a much stronger way. And it doesn't mean you're hurting anyone, because this is the power that you are having within you. What's the power within you, and not that you're having it over anyone else. So it's a lot of rewriting that has been happening. And when I say rewriting, I'm talking in terms of all the programming that we have endured for lifetimes after lifetimes. So anyway, I took some notes, okay, and I've been taking these notes for over like 2-3 weeks or something like that. So because I'm looking at you, it's not the same like when I'm channeling. So if I look up or I look to the side, because I'm channeling information. If any of you know that sometimes I may speak in tongues, if you have any questions or anything you want to share, please share with me, because sometimes I get more information that flows through someone else. And I'm holding a sacred space for each and every one of us that's on here, always, that everything that we hold in this space is our truth, our divine truth, and that we are protected and sacred and safe with where we are with this. And so it is. So right now, Jupiter is in Sagittarius. We're in that energy of Sagittarius and that fire energy and what's really being ignited, with all of us. Okay. And so even there was stuff that was brought to my attention from Spirit to do with the elements of water. I'm an air sign, and my divine counterparts are Cancer. My children, Cancers, and I have a lot of Pisces in my charts, a lot of water energy. And so there was a dream that I had last week, I think, or 2 weeks ago, where I was the bathtub was filling up with water. I was getting ready to take a bath, and I got a phone call from him saying, "Come meet me first to go take a spa bath or something." And so the water was filling up, and it started to like it was spilling over. But then by the time I turned around, the water started to go down, down, down. And so when I looked, this is in the dream, and I said to myself, I said, well, that's interesting. I said, because no matter what, even though the water went down, it was still water, even though it was air and water. So it's two elements together. And so I said, well, everything that has triggered me or activated me or propelled me to look at myself, I had to go through the water element. And so the North Node is in Cancer, and that water element took me deeper and deeper into myself. And as it took me deeper, it goes through you go through like a purification of the self. And so we can't run away from it, because it has to do with how we face our emotions and coming back into a space of emotional integrity. And so what was interesting, that what was led to from my higher self and his higher self, their selves, is H2O. And I said, wow. And I said, these make up the elements of something, carbon, dioxide, nitrogen, oxygen. And so oxygen represents air, and I am an air sign, right? And so the air and the water brings something together, and sometimes it creates something, and it can come into a solidified state, which makes ice. And when we have ice, and when the ice becomes solidified, if we don't work through the parts of ourselves that become hard or hardened or feeling pain, if you let it stay there, it can form into something that could be like ice, and it becomes, solid, and then it can hurt. And so the way that we move through that element is, of course, is purging and crying and letting it out. Because when we're releasing that feeling and releasing all that emotion and all that stuff, what it does is it transforms into something else, okay? And it doesn't mean that it's not the same element. It's just that it's a different aspect of that element. So think of yourselves in what is it that you are releasing and purifying, and where we're operating from a space of emotional integrity instead of emotional feelings over someone and manipulation. So many of us have had all these sides to ourselves that we've had to work through purifying. What triggers you and what is the dark element of yourself. And it's nothing to do with judgment. It has to do with the parts of ourselves that we're integrating, having to look at it so that way we can come into a greater balance. So when we had 1111 and 1122 and all these the vibration of ones and twos, it still has to do with that inner balance, and everything that you bring into an inner balance, it moves itself out into an external aspect. And so as you go through each purification cycle of what you're releasing, and you say, oh my God, this is coming up again. Oh my goodness, how many times is it going to keep coming up over and over again? It's repeating. Well, these are the cycles of what we're choosing now to release it once and for all. It's still there, but what you're doing is you're transforming it. Because energy can be created or destroyed. It's there. So that's why we're alchemizing through these energies and everything that we've been experiencing. Okay. So I wanted to share, you know, that with you as well as another dream that I had. And that was just parts of that dream. And there was another dream I had yesterday. And that dream, I was taken to a place where it was like a complex or something. And it was a whole bunch of naked men. They were all naked and they were being brought into a room to be quarantined. So when I looked into that dream, because I interpret dreams also, I said, wow, that represents something to do with the nakedness of the soul. You know, when they spoke about in the scriptures, who told you were naked, or who told you that, you know, you were supposed to know thyself? But in order to come back to the self, you got to know yourself. And when you're knowing yourself, you're going to look at all the parts of the self, and then you're going to become naked to yourself. And when you become naked to yourself, are you feeling safe when you become naked to yourself and not ashamed and embarrassed? You know, it's like coming before yourself, you know, above and below, and saying, I see myself and I'm embracing all of myself. And that when you're looking outwardly, be mindful of who you you know, share information with. Greetings, Andrea. Greetings, Cecilia. Greetings, sending love and greetings to each and every one of you. You just got home. Okay. Yeah, I've been home everywhere I go because I talk so much messages. Oh my goodness, there's so many messages. But either way, I don't remember what I was saying, but either way, the passage that we are on, I would say heading to, I came to this realization about the Wizard of Oz. So if I'm looking over here, I'm just rechanneling again, you know, in a different way, because I did post on my timeline I wouldn't say it was a download, it was a revelation. I've been getting revelations. Like sometimes we get messages in the dream state, sometimes we get messages in the waking state. The key is to pay attention. Like, are you really listening? Are you really paying attention to all the signs? And it becomes magical. It just truly becomes magical. And it's all about trusting what you're hearing and seeing, and not really thinking if it's minimal or not, you know, so on and so forth. So the dream itself, again, had to do with the masculine. Greetings, Chani. I hope I pronounced your name correctly. Has to do with, you know, becoming naked to the soul. And a lot of times we may feel that we don't desire to be vulnerable, you know, with one another. And of course, this has to do with when you're able to feel comfortable and safe expressing yourself to someone, knowing that it's coming from a space of integrity, and that it's not going to come into something where the person is dishonoring you, you know, because you're honoring yourself, you're honoring, you know, another person, and that space is being helpful, because many of us have not been able to be comfortable being ourselves and comfortable being in our shoes. And, you know, who do I talk to about this journey? You know, I had the pleasure of reading for someone yesterday for the first time, someone who's on a transgender twin soul journey. And I said, wow, I just love when Spirit sends me those type of readings that are different. And the reason is because there's so many out there that are just yearning to be themselves, but they're afraid, or they're looking for approval, or they're hiding themselves because of the fact that they're pushed away, turned down, okay, chain knee. And then they're in fear of the power that they have. And I told this young lady that her power was returning to her, and she was afraid of it. And she was afraid of it even to the sense when I mentioned certain movies that they were showing me what she's related to with the dreams. And she said, I couldn't watch those movies. And I said, you know why? I said, because you're in fear of what you're going to remember about yourself. And sometimes we're in fear of what we remember about ourselves because, you know, once again, the projections begin with what someone may say. And then if you feel that you're put on a pedestal, then, you know, you feel that you're not going to feel comfortable with the person not feeling comfortable because of the power you're remembering about yourself. But somebody got to start from somewhere, and it starts from within you. And I've always said before, it really comes to that point where you just can't give any fucks, because once you start to give fucks, then you start to giving away your power. You're giving away your power. You're giving away the presence of who you are. You're giving away that part of yourself that's connected to the divine and to your source creation. And it is a life force, because you see, every time you give energy to someone else's story, or how they feel, or what they feel, or what they interpret, or how they interpret it, you take up more room within you that's unnecessary. But again, if you feel it is necessary, then go right ahead. But then you ask yourself, how does this make me feel? The minute you start talking and you are repeating someone else's story or what that person may think, ask yourself, what is it doing for me right now in this moment? Is it disempowering me, or is it making me feel greater about myself? Okay? Because it is all about you. Because I could give you all the messages in the world, and I can tell you all the lovely, fluffy stories. But then if there's a part of you that still feels coward or afraid, or I am really naked, that story again, why do you think the book is called The Return of the Garden of Eden? Because it has to do with the return to yourself, to your own sacred space. And even within that sacred space, who you are in conjunction to someone else is different and unique. And it's for you to embrace that part of yourself, that even if I do a reading for you and tell you what I see, if you're not ready to accept it and you're in fear of it or uncomfortable with it, you may just stay right where you're at before you contacted me. So a lot of this has to do with, again, are you afraid of yourself? Are you afraid of your power? And how much do you embrace your true power? How much do you embrace your authentic self? How much can you be yourself around people or someone? And I'm not saying you have to be your true self to every single person, because some people you just have to leave them right where they're at. Because again, if you give away your power by trying to convince or, blah, 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 and go into all them stories again, that's taking up more energy. That's more energy again. So Jupiter in Sagittarius, I'm going to go into the notes now, represents human libertine freedom, liberation, freedom, higher knowledge system given to humanity for us to expand and to progress, to free humanity, the light to higher knowledge and wisdom that liberates us and for us to become stronger within ourselves, okay? The North Node in Cancer is also happening now. It's going to be for about 18 months. What it represents, I always said before, is that the Cancer represents the deep seed of the soul, the mother energy, and it's how we nurture ourselves. How much are you nurturing yourself? Are you really taking care of yourself? Not necessarily, oh, am I going to take a bath today and eat food? But do you know where and when it's time to set your boundaries? Are you setting those boundaries? And it's not just saying no, but like even if you're in conversation with someone and you know that it's starting to make you feel like you're disassociating from it because they're not speaking your language anymore, you're not resonating anymore, you're not on the same level, doesn't mean you're better than them, but it's just that if it's just not there, it's just not there. It's like it just can't cohabitate right now, can't come together right now. It has to be, you have to be where you are and they're going to be where they're at, and sometimes that's just the way it is. You know what I'm saying? So do you know when it's time to cut that cord? Do you know when it's time to walk away? Do you remember when when it's time to remember to speak up and to say something also? Because sometimes, again, I said it before, we may feel that when we say, this is just love and light, and I just love this person, and I just want to send them love and light. But then if they are a bitch, and if they're this and that, they're that. There are some people here on the planet who are not here for the greater good for others, or they don't mean you well or anything. You see what I'm saying? And they're like a testing mechanism in a way, or something for you to even awaken more to yourself and say, like a choice, like is that what who I am showing up here? Am I interested in this? Nah, not really. And then that's when you stand strong with it and you stand tall with it. And however, you know what I'm saying? So that way, even if you say I love you, but you know what? Fuck off, and that's it. And don't feel guilty and don't feel bad, because it is what it is. You know what I mean? Because if you go around pretending and putting on the mask on your face and say, oh, how are you, darling? And you're there with a pretentious thing with people that pretend like as if they love you or they're friends with you. Well, they're not. Then when it's time to let go. Because you can't force something to make something happen if it's not there. You know what I'm saying? And that's what those people who are not authentic, they're afraid even of their own selves, and they're insecure. So when they're insecure, then they start calling you names and telling you all kind of stuff for you to diminish yourself. And this is not for you to diminish yourself. Again, that's your cue and saying, hey, I know who I am, and nothing they say or do is going to take away who I am, because I am that I am. And of course, they're going to show up as I am not. And when you look at you who you're not, then you get to choose and say, well, I'm not you, and I know what I'm choosing for me. What's the highest and best for me? Okay? So know that every person that comes into your space is something that is reflecting back to you as what you are choosing. And eventually, it just doesn't happen like that anymore. After a while, I don't go around looking for anybody to love me, because the love comes to me and because of how I feel about myself. So I don't get backlashes and da 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 and all that stuff, because I've worked through this, and especially not giving fucks. I still stay in my joy, because no one can take away my joy. I am that I am. You see what I'm saying? And you have to get to that place within you, that inner strength and that power, more than clicking your heels like, say Dorothy click her heels to come home. We all desire to come home. We all desire to come home. We all desire to feel love. We all desire to be in there, because you are love, right? But now is, how do I work through removing these blocks that I've had to love? And I am in gratitude for the son of a guns who come in my way. Thank you. Thank them from the bottom of your soul and the top of your heart, because they're helping you too at the same time. It's quite a trek, but I'm keeping it real. I'm keeping it real. And and when we do that, and we remember that and it clicks within us, like, oh, I killed the bad witch, and then here comes another bad witch, and here comes a good witch, and now you're saying, well, which one is me? Who am I? You're all of it. You're all of it. You're working through how you're remembering yourself, and you got to let go of the brain, and, am I thinking right? And I got to get my brain back, I got to go back into that logical thinking, that mental space. No, release the mental stuff and the mental bondage. That's right, Kendra, the new goal, 0 fucks. Absolute 0. Even if you have to go to -10 below 0 fucks, it's very, very, very liberating. Whoo, boy, is it liberating, I tell you. You see? Very liberating. And as she walked through the forest in that magical kingdom, right, then she came across the scarecrow. And the scarecrow was so scared of himself, and scared of shadow, and scared of everything. You boo, you jump. How many things can you think of that you have been in fear of? And then 5 years later, you're like, damn, why was I so scared about that after all? It was just like, it was really literally like an illusion, as one would say. It was an illusion. What is there really to be afraid of is what you ask yourself, you see? Because sometimes we create more, we project more on these illusions, and then the illusions start to come into that form and show itself to you, because that's what you were projecting. That's what you were projecting. So as she goes through the magical place again, now she's, working through herself to find that courage, right? The cowardly lion, because all of that is the element of who Dorothy is, and that's who you are, right? Dorothy, you want to go to the wizard. We left from one place, come to another place to come back to that same place. Isn't that what it is? You're created from the seed of, from one element to the other, and the seed was planted, and then you were created, and then you were born, and then you go right back. You go right back, and you come back again and again and again. So who are you being now? So now you get out of your brain, and then you find the courage. And knowing that you have your heart, you had your heart all along, and that you had that strength within you all along, because it's still, even though Dorothy went to the Wizard of Oz to get, the answers to how can she get back home, she had to come to that realization it was within her. But still, when she was clicking her heels, she still didn't believe that she could do it. She still had to find that belief within herself and trust within herself that she could click her way back home. So isn't that what it's like on this journey? It's like you're wondering, am I right? Is this correct? Am I thinking things, and all these, the mental space that comes within you. And that's why it's important for you to think again, how much are you attaining your own true power and trusting and believing in it and believing in yourself, regardless of how it looks on the outside, regardless of what anyone says, regardless of what anyone does. Where are you taking yourself with this? You see what I'm saying? So here I go back to my notes again about how are you able to understand yourself on a deeper level? Because there was some, including Kendra, when she said, oh, I went really deep. Yes, we went even deeper with Venus being retrograde. And now Venus, I believe Venus is still in Libra, and it has to do with how much you're coming into balance with yourself, your shadow self and your light self. How are you coming to balance with your relationships? The relationship you have with yourself is just as important, if not first and foremost, before you think you could have a relationship with someone else. And so with that comes emotional wisdom. And that means that you're filtering through all the things that you've been taught through childhood. What have you received emotionally from others? How do you connect? What are the feelings you have have you attached to from your childhood, or what are the things that are coming up in your space, you know, if you're on a twin soul path, and what's reflecting from, you know, your partner, whoever it is, who you're connected to, what, you know, what are the emotions that are attached to your past lives, you know, that you have in this life that, you know, that has transcended through this time. You know, this is what we're talking about. What are you saying, Cheney? Why are Aquarius people being bombarded with all these people? Well, I don't think it's a matter of being bombarded. Like I said, I think it's not just with Aquarians. It's just that I feel with Aquarians, you know, because we represent air, but it's not just being Aquarian, because like I said, I have a lot of water element in my chart also, because I read energy and I feel energy, and it's even stronger for me ever than before. And what happens, sometimes I feel like I'm like a walking data, and I'm assimilating all this information like a mad scientist. So it's like I see the element here, and then I see it here, then I see how it's integrating, then I see this here, and it's like everything, I'm seeing it. And as I see it, then I'm looking below, like, oh, I could see it in the lower dimensional space and the higher dimension, and then it's like widening, you know, into the horizon as well. So to me, when you say bombarded, I would look at it more like, what is it for you to do to, again, those boundaries, so that way you know how to keep yourself in that nurturing space and honoring your space, and that you are detaching from other people's issues and detaching from what other people are going through. You know, I have a relative of mine that she was trying to reach me for weeks, and you know, she was going through some issues, you know, and stuff, and I said to her, I said, you know, everything that I was reading, because even though she's talking and talking, my brain is not absorbing the story. I'm seeing the energy, and I'm telling her, I said, you know what, all this is showing is you're not empowering yourself, you're disempowering yourself. I said, I don't care how much time you loop around and tell me, oh, this one do this and this one do that, you are disempowering yourself. So ask yourself, how am I disempowering myself? By being bombarded by all these people and situations, you know, and stuff like that. And how can I release myself from that energy? Meaning that if it means it's time to walk away, if it means you don't take the phone calls, if it means if it's time for you to move thyself, move from the place where you're at, then maybe that's what they're showing you. That's what they're showing you. Because if you're not doing it for you, no one is going to do it for you. You see? And so that's where the discernment comes in, and also how you take control of your life and what you take in. You know, that's what that force is. That's what that life force is. What are you taking in to yourself? Just as much as food. You know, I know people worry so much about food, like, who don't eat this, don't eat that. But me, I pay more attention to the spiritual food and the energy around me and people around me and who I conversate with or who I come around with. You see what I'm saying? Whether it's in physical or phone or whatever. Because it takes that energy to deal with it, what you're hearing and listening and absorbing. You know what I mean? Well, you shouldn't want to fix anyone's problems, because see, that's another part of the North Node in Cancer, is that it's going to really have us take a look even deeper to how can you love and associate yourself with someone but detach from what they're experiencing, where you're having empathy instead of sympathy. We're not here to save the world. You know, we're not here to save the world. We're here to save ourselves. We're here to come into our greater sovereignty of ourselves, about sovereignty, and be detached from the control that has taken place over time, and how you should be, how you should feel, what you should do, where you should be, you know, all these different things. You see, because if you keep attaching yourself to other people's problems and wanting to fix them, then when are you going to live for you? You know what I mean? When are you going to live for you? Because if I was to pay attention to every single person with what they're going through, I would go crazy, and I'm not interested in that. So I rather stay in my lane more than I do, and that's it. You know, that's it. And it doesn't mean that I don't care, because it's not about not caring. It's about, do you know when it's time to connect, and do you know when it's time to disconnect, but still have that love, because you're honoring yourself, you're honoring your feelings, you're feeding, you are not only healing, but you're coming to a greater space of that emotional connection that you have to others, without having them, you know, feel like they're sucking you dry. You know what I mean? And that you're not letting it affect you every single time. And I recommend, you know, dancing, singing, Go out, have a change of pace or of some kind. You know what I mean? Instead of the same thing all the time, because a lot of times people wake up in the morning or whatever time you wake up, and they're just absorbing all this energy coming from people and things and situations. And then you're going through your own ascension, your own awakening, your own stuff that you're healing, clearing, shifting. That's a lot of stuff. That's a lot of stuff. And I say, be like that child where the child is hopping, skipping, jumping. Even if they fell down and cut their finger, they're still going to run, skip, and jump. And they're not focused on the cut, because I've seen many times kids will hurt themselves and they go right back into the same thing again to get hurt again the same way, because they're not giving any fucks. And that's it. I observe all of this. I observe all of it. So ask yourself again, how are you affected emotionally by people? Right? And what are you taking? Because it's no coincidence that you're telling me this, Cheney, and I'm up to that part in the notes that I took, right? What are you taking in? Do you understand consciously what you're taking in from others in, with their problems and their issues, and, whether it's with you or themselves, or, and so on and so forth? Do you know how to detach from it and honor yourself while you're still honoring them? So the next thing too is that we are activating parts of ourselves that have been dormant, okay, and coming back alive again. And also, what does it mean to be, like I said before, to be safe and vulnerable with people that we trust? Relationships with yourself and who you are and how you connect to others, okay? Because like I said, we're in this expansive energy where Sagittarius just expands everything through with Jupiter. Everything is just being expanded now. You're going to be feeling things more. Mars, I believe, is in Pisces, so we're just feeling more. The Neptune is direct now. It's like I'm getting all of this cosmically. And that means that with all this Pisces energy, it's like all the illusions and the things that you thought were real are now starting to show themselves. It's not hidden anymore. Everything is showing itself. People are showing themselves. You ask yourself, wow, I lost a relative, whatever, and now I see this person for who they are. Or I did this for this person and I called them up and I asked them, if they could do this for me, and they're not doing it or whatever. And you're like, wow, I see another side to this person. It's like all the mask of people and who they are is just starting to show. It can't be hidden, so you don't even have to do anything because it's already present. You see? So we're already becoming naked, even if you're not taking off your clothes. And what I'm saying, I'm not saying in terms of the physical part. I'm talking that even if you feel that you want to hide anything. Well, I know me, I see things that sometimes I don't want to see, but I don't attach to it. And so the minute someone is talking to me or something I see that someone writes or whatever, I already feel them. I already see who they are. And that's what's going on. And then sometimes, it's like you hear all this, I hear all this chitter chatter, and I close it off and I create my own sacred space. So I shut it down and I move it to the side. And this is how the entire omnipresent of the all there is chose to know itself through all the individuation parts of itself, of who we are. And as it breaks down to seeing itself in all the different aspects of the self, it knows what to do to separate it, but still knows it's a part of the universal aspect of this consciousness. You see? And it's about remembering that and how it serves you and how it serves your union and how it serves the changes happening in your life and how you're able to move forward. Because you see, once you move through this again and you create more space because you're working through these emotions, especially, what happens is you make more room for love and manifestation. You see, and that's why everything that happens here is how we're removing the blocks and chipping away to all of the dogma, the fear, especially. Fear has been like one of the biggest things that has been a block to the things that we manifest. Because sometimes when we're that close to manifesting something, then go right back in the head again and say, oh, no, it's not going to happen. Oh, no, this can't be true. Oh, no, this is too crazy. And then it's almost like as if it's tethering. You know what I mean? And it comes back to that strength and courage that you find within yourself and believing it and not looking for validation. Because there's a difference between looking for validation and when you're receiving that, how do I say, when you're receiving messages coming from your higher self or from source. And then as you relate to it, you just know that you have this peace that comes over you. And then it's like it just comes together, and then you're no longer in fear of it, and you're not in fear of what anyone says. You know what I'm saying? It's almost like you're in your own bubble when you get to that place, when you're able to become centered in that space. You know, so even today, as it is now, it's 11:22 on the clock where I am right now. So that's like a moment of what we're bringing together in that pillar of strength, you know, self-mastery. Okay, Keandre said, do you go into your own sacred space too when dealing with separation? Okay. Yeah, I do. And what it does for me in my own way is like I create my own joy. Like, I mean, it could seem really crazy and silly, but I was laughing my ass off 2 days ago, all by myself, just laughing. And I was laughing so much that I was crying, tears. Okay. And it was just different jokes that were coming towards me, different jokes, you see? And when I'm in that space of joy and joking and laughing at the most ridiculous things, that even if I find it funny and nobody else find it funny, that don't matter to me as long as I find it funny. And if I'm crying, because even when I was laughing so much and I was going through stuff, the laughter, what it did for me, it started to like push out the energy of all the feelings and emotions that I had within me. You know, with pain or bewilderment, whatever the heck it was. Because sometimes when I go through these experiences, I don't even attach to like, what was it again that happened? Or it's like, because I just work my way through, like, that was yesterday, today is today. You know what I mean? So when I talk about sacred space, I don't mean like you just go in a corner somewhere and hide. When I create my own sacred space, it could even be that I tune out everything and everyone, or I may play music. I even played some music and I was just dancing at 3 or 4 o'clock this morning. Then my daughter come downstairs and we're just chilling and dancing. She had school and we're just dancing, you know, and that's it. It's like, that's my sacred space. And I'm not thinking about the problems or anything. And I'm not even thinking about what is a problem. You know what I'm saying? Because I could think this is a problem and you might think that's not a problem, you know? So why take it on? Why take it on? Because no matter what, it's still going to work out. It always does work out. And sometimes we don't want to hear that, right? We don't want to hear that it's going to work out, but it really does. It really does. And then you wonder, why did you take this all in your head? You see? So we're at this place now to be able to be receptive, nurturing yourself through the pain and the sorrow and all the things that you've experienced, right? And Cancer, again, has to do with mother, you know, and mother is like, you're the mother and I'm the mother. We're all mothers, you know, because we've been connected to that element of being mother, you know, mother of all mothers, and nurturing yourself and feeling good about yourself, pampering yourself, right? Nurturing yourself. Again, it doesn't even have to be subjected to just taking a nice warm bath. It could be that you sit quietly somewhere and meditate, or you do take a nice warm bath, or you say no to someone. Saying no to someone is nurturing as well. Yes, it is. Oh, yes, right? Even sometimes when my kids are talking to me and they see me listening to something and they're still talking. And what I do, I tune them out. And they're like, but you're not listening. I said, because don't you see that I'm listening to something? It's like I'm trying to take in, and I just create that space of what's important for me right now and how much I can take in, you know? That even if someone contacts me and they're like, you know, hey, how you doing? I'm like, I'm great. Then I'm waiting for the punchline, right? And then it starts. And I'm like, okay, what's this all about, right? Oh, I was wondering if I could ask you a question. Ooh, that depends. Now, that's when I do a pause and I'm like, okay, I know where it's going, because I felt it in the energy from the minute the person reached out to me. So I know, and I'm saying, just up front, just tell me what this is all about. Because I could see it already and I can feel it. And I'm okay with it. I'm not upset or anything, but I'm just telling you why or how I know more, how I create my own boundaries. Because even if it's just a conversation, right? Even if it's a family member or anybody, if I am creating more boundaries with not engaging in conversation, because I realize, damn, that's a lot of fucking talking. You know what I'm saying? That's a lot of talking. And that takes out my life force as well. So think about all the energy. If you could do this for your homework, think about every day on a daily basis. Write down how many people you talk to, how many people you help, how many people you advise, and calculate how much time it has taken up, how much energy it has been for you. See? and see how much you have put in energy for yourself. That's a part of nurturing. That's a part of really, really nurturing yourself. Okay, because we're not here to be sacrificial lamb. Every time I was even thinking about how, you know, when they created the religion part to do with nuns and priests and all that stuff, and they sacrifice their themselves and this and that, and they're so unhappy, and you know, even when you hear the music like on, you know, come on now, let's get real. You know what I'm saying? And then they leave out of their bodies and they're like, oh, gee whiz, what have you experienced for yourself to be in your greatest element of joy and freedom and blissfulness? That's beyond happiness. That's beyond joy. Okay. I can always go into details with how you get there another day. But right now I want to focus on what's happening with you energetically and how you are. I don't want to use the word healing because I've even detached from certain words as well as much as possible. So if I do speak it, it's just so you identify with it. And it's karma, twin flame, healing, you know, because like, well, how much are we going to be healing here? Yes, there is something called healing, but there's also something called integrating, releasing, letting go. Okay. And the reason I say that, because when you detach from certain words that carry experiences, you're on another level of freedom. You are. And a lot of times we identify with these words, with what people say and what they project and what they've gone through. And then you take it on again. And then it continues again. And there goes the cycle of experiences that you take on because you're comparing your experiences to someone else's. And then you get tied up again. And then it's like it's regurgitating and regurgitating and regurgitating. Okay. So that's the reason why I had to bring that up again, because when you are allowing yourself to be in that space of freedom, and what it means for you and what it means for your sacred union, it opens up a space. Okay, it opens up a greater space of magic. It opens up a greater space of manifestation and what you're bringing forth into your energetic field. We're in a time of where we're aligning with what we're manifesting with. Of course, when I say aligning, because whatever I'm saying now is not for everyone. It's not for everyone because not everyone is ready. Some of you are still in fear of your gifts or in fear of who you are. You see what I'm saying? And it's for you to embrace it, because no matter what anyone says, you could go to 5 readers, 10 readers. But if you are still in that space of fear of yourself or fear of your path and fear of who you are, or you're doubting it, or you're giving that power away to who you are to someone else, then you got to ask yourself, then what is that doing for me and what I can manifest? Because really, you are the magician. You really had that power all along. You see, Dorothy had to figure it out, in her own way. She really didn't go to Kansas, that was all in her imagination. What is in your subconscious mind that you feel that you've had within you, but you were afraid to step forward because of what someone might say, or if you felt you didn't have enough money, or if you felt like you needed someone's permission, or you need this? You'd be surprised how the universe can work through things for you when you align with it, when you have to align with it. You really have to align with it. And that it goes beyond the word faith. It goes beyond the word belief. It's like, you know what you know because you remember who you are. That's right. You remember who you are. It goes beyond that. It's like, even if I say it in how many words, it's like you would get to that place yourself and you say, now I know what she's talking about. Now I feel it. Now I get it. It's just in a different energetic frequency. It's in a different energetic frequency. So even when I think of 444s and 144, those are the numbers that were showing up a lot. And I realized, wow, it has to do with so much of this inner balance that we have within ourselves. And it takes us deeper into deeper levels. And then it's also in other levels with your multidimensional self. And so the frequency of codes start to show up in your space as you are aligning and coming into balance with that energy, okay? In really knowing who you are, and it comes through from source with who you are and knowing yourself and really knowing thyself, okay? So as I go back to the emotional energy right? What's happening now with us and how deeper we're going with this and nurturing ourselves and setting your boundaries and empowering yourself and really looking and paying attention to how, if anyone is disempowering you, and setting, again, those boundaries. Because if you have anything emotional that is still stuck to you, even if, you know, in the physical space, because I even said in my other video, sometimes someone can tie you up with chains and stuff like that, and you're still in your joy, and you're like, I don't care, and you're happy. And then there's some who they're still unhappy and they have all the things in the world. You know what I'm saying? And so, you know, you ask yourself again, what are you attached to emotionally? And anything that is holding you down or holding you back, or how you're holding yourself down and holding yourself back. Because all it takes is a choice. It really can take a choice. You say, oh, but I'm trying to do this and I'm trying to do that and it's still not working. There's still something within you, again, that I feel the root of it comes from fear. Fear. Sometimes fear can be the major block to the things that we might feel that we're not able to let go of. And then we want to hold on to it because you feel that's what makes you safe. But sometimes being out in the open is what releases and frees you up more than anything else, what you've been afraid of. So, and it's like being in full command of your energy, being in full command of your choices, being in full command of your boundaries. We are experiencing, I am and I am not. The greater part of who I am as a whole that encompasses the smaller fragmentation parts of myself that I'm bringing back together again, you know? And you know what? Spirit says there is no number that you can put to that because it's infinite. It's limitless. It's limitless. You see? So therefore, if it's limitless and you're thinking within yourself, well, I'm so small and I really can't do this and I really can't be this and this is not true. You know what? It's like, that's why they say on earth, it's like being, the souls are like, I wouldn't say souls, like being in kindergarten. And this is about really coming into your greatness. Your greatness, because by the time we get closer to 2020, there are going to be even more awakenings on the planet. A lot of sacred unions coming into place. I'm talking in the physical sense in every way. And it's about, you know, are you ready for yourself? Are you ready for who you are? Are you ready for this? You know, because guess what? Even if you're not ready, Spirit is making it ready. It's happening whether you like it or not. Because, you know, I was giving the example of from the movie Down to Earth where, you know, Chris Rock, I was watching it again and I got another message again, you know, and he transcended through 3 different bodies and he decided, I'm going to be my authentic self, because he knew he was going to find her. Because, you know, the soul is always desiring to find itself and to find what, you know, is connected to the desires of the heart. You know, it's like when you feel excited about something you're creating, don't your heart start palpitating? You start to get all excited. Well, it's close to something like that. And so what clever way that it has been designed by source than for you to find yourself through something or someone to ignite you, to get you activated and not dumb yourself down or numb yourself down, whatever word the word is. You know what I mean? Too often we've been taught, no, don't be too, you know, can't do that. That's too much now. That's too much, you know, because you don't want you to outshine anyone else. Well, I tell you this, outshine. Be braver than you have ever been before. And you know what? When you do something really brave, I tell you, it really does take you to a really dangerous level of freedom. It's true. Because I've done some shit, but you'll have to hear that in the book. I don't mean to laugh, but it's true, because when I think about it, I'm like, dang, that was really brave. And every time you can do something brave that you never did before, you thought like, well, if I take just one little step and I do it, what will happen? Don't think about what will happen. Think about if it's the truth, if it will cause no harm to anyone, if it's in the highest and best for you and how it makes you feel and where it will take you, then do it. Do it. Because sometimes it's just taking those steps and doing it. And you're like, well, shit, that wasn't so bad after all. You know what I mean? And that's it. I really feel that when you are true to yourself and more authentic with yourself and all the parts of yourself, you know what? It all clicks and it all comes together. You know what I'm saying? It all comes together. And that's what is important. That's what's important in what it means for you coming into your own creative space is what I'm saying. Come into your own creative space. So I'm just going to go briefly, as brief as I can, into the notes that I took to do with the twin soul journey, just a little bit deeper in what it means and how we're evolving as ancient souls, I did write some of it briefly, but I want to just say verbally just a little bit, is how we're activating the portals of unconditional love. And what we came here to do is to be love and in an unconditional space. And the more you're able to come out with your true authenticity, right? And being honest about your journey, honest about yourself. And even if it means that you don't have to necessarily blurt it out, but that means that if you know it to be true for you, that you don't have to hide what is, if someone asks you, or if it means you're going to declare something, if it means you're going to do something you've never done before because you're being guided. I really truly know in my heart that your soul is always navigating you through where you're to be, who you're to be with, what is your connection. And your connection is not subjected to a physical person. It's also what is coming into alignment when it comes to your career, what's coming into alignment where you live, your passion. Live out your passion. Live out your passion, and do what makes you happy. Do what makes your soul happy. Because you could do whatever you are right in the space where you're at, and still it's doing something for you. It's changing you. You know what I mean? And you're not doing it for someone. You're doing it for yourself. You're doing it for yourself. That's what really matters. And I look at it that here I wrote, this was interesting, is that no one has the same fingerprint, right? And neither do twin souls. Meaning that you share that same energetic space, but it's still different, like snowflakes, right? Because we're all expressing things uniquely different. And the uniqueness is your power. So in other words, as you are awakening to yourself and you're activating the power that's within you, and during this time of activation, it means that you're disintegrating and looking at the parts of the cells that is not, or that's your shadow. And as you are receiving and getting all this information and what you're releasing and all that stuff, and it may seem different to someone else, but guess what? That's unique to you, and your path is unique to you. So be very mindful of where you get your information from. Be mindful of those who are even in the spiritual community that are dogmatic and saying, don't do this and you shouldn't do that and you shouldn't be that, because they're speaking of their own path. And what it does is, maybe if you do hear it, maybe it'll trigger you. Maybe it's supposed to trigger you, because that way, it's kind of like your I am not is showing up to that person. And then your I am is saying, well, does that resonate with you? No. Okay. Does it mean you cut them off completely? Not necessarily, because we're all navigating and we are coming back to ourselves in different ways, different ways, multitude of ways. I told you, I read for someone that she's her path was with her twin is a transgender, and I thought it was so fascinating because it's different, because we're all here to express ourselves in different ways, uniquely. And in that uniqueness is where your power comes from, see? And your connection to the divine, your connection to what shows up through this consciousness, Does anyone have any questions or anything you'd like to share? Please feel free to share. I didn't really want to subject it to doing any readings, but, if you do have anything you'd like to share, or you want to ask me something, please feel free to ask. I love getting questions. I do. No one? Very interesting. So I at least wanted to share. I'm going to drink something real quick because I'm thirsty. Yes. So also that dream that I had to do with the nakedness of the males in the dream. It was that same day I saw kings on a street sign. And then I saw something that said, what did it say again? It was on a license plate, and it was something like saying activate or something. I don't remember the exact words, but it was so interesting because they were both side by side. And what is shown to me is that the divine masculine is like really being activated and fired up and becoming even more balanced with the feminine energy. That's how it felt to me. I also saw Eve on license plate several times today and yesterday. I just can't make it up. And I always see Eve on license plate. So it's like Eve is also reconciling with her Lilith. Okay, it's about reconciling with your Lilith shadow self and Eve. And it really deals with the inner balance of self, okay? And it's not about getting rid of her. It's about just accepting her and accepting yourself, okay? And how it shows up for you. Honoring that path and honoring the path and how it shows up as well. And even with what had to be disintegrated when it comes to patriarchy, and also even on the feminine side with females, you know, I was even observing, you know, what it has been like when it comes to relationships on the planet. And, you know, oh, you meet someone, you date them, and then you're like, you want to go, you know, keep going on dates. You don't really get to know the inner aspect of the person. And then I said, you know, what if things were different now, where it's not just that you meet someone and boy meets girl, or girl meets boy, or girl meets girl, or boy meets boy, but also you ask yourself, what is the relationship that that person have with themselves? What is the relationship like that that person have with their family, you know, their children? What is it like? You know, it's almost like you're interviewing yourself and how it shows up to them as well, because, you know, what is your relationship with yourself? And are you ready or prepared to embark on something that may or may not be healthy for you or, you know, that person? Because this is truly about how we're really connecting to what is the highest and best within ourselves, and how it shows up, and the choices that we're making, and that we're ending, and has ended, the cycles of how we have started out in relationships. Yes, it will be available, Araceli. Yes, it will. You know, a greeting, Sure. Yes, Keandra, Jupiter is supposed to be in Sagittarius all year. Yes, it is, and it is a lucky year. You said, does that mean most things will work on each other? Well, you know, the words you speak is put it out there that all things will work out, and that we have cleared the way. You know, it's like I said, the soul goes the distance to what we're clearing all the blockages, or have been clearing the blockages. That's why we had Mars in retrograde, why we have Venus in retrograde, and that Venus in retrograde, when it took me so deep and I felt it all in my solar plexus, it was very painful. It was very painful. It really felt like, you know, like I said, Mother Earth was giving birth to me, and I was passing through the walls of the vagina, and it hurt. It was really painful. And so many of us have had to alchemize and go through that. I mean, even my body, I had the flu. I had breakouts on my body. I felt my higher self was coming in. I was feeling heat. Then I felt cold. I mean, it was just different things that I was going through. Even I found myself not eating. Like I went hours and out, like no eating, like, and it didn't matter to me. No drinking, no nothing. Like I didn't eat like till 7 o'clock that evening, and sleeping odd hours, you know. And you know, when the light body's coming in, it's like you don't sleep. You just don't sleep that much, you know. And it's like, you know, I wake up and it's nighttime. Then by the time, you know, my children are up during the whole night, even though they have school, and then they come home and we're sleeping. So it's like it's different cycles of changes that the body is going through. So I say that now we're in this time, again, is what are you aligning with when it comes to your manifestation? 2. And Jupiter expands everything. So that means that if there's something for you to change your job, if there's something for you to apply for something, if there's something to do with releasing and letting go of a relationship that doesn't serve you, right? And I know that we're in that space now of especially like some of the love relationships, and what is no longer there, because even some people are starting to feel like, well, I'm not really feeling it anymore with that person. And it's like seeing everything in a whole new light. You know what I mean? And there's some relationships that'll be severed permanently, and there's some that will not. And there's some that's just change. It's even about, you know, do I choose to be with a person that's not aligning with my choices? or with who I am? You know, are they honoring me for my time and my space? You know, it's stuff like that. All of that is changing and expanding, okay? So it all depends, Keandra, on what you are putting out there to manifest. And are you releasing your fears? Are you facing your fears, especially? You know, facing those fears. And then paying attention to where you're being guided to. If you know, if you hear, oh, let me put this in, or let me do this. You know what I mean? If that job is not serving you, time to let it go. If it's not bringing you joy, time to let it go. If it's not your passion, time to let it go. If it's time to move out of your parents' house, time to go. If it's time to move out of your girlfriend, your husband, that is not subjected to whether you have children, you know, with them or not. Because if it's not aligning, then the universe is going to bring that energy. It's already happened. The energy is coming in for things to be released. Uranus is also at play here as well, because it's in opposition to Venus. And Venus in Libra represents relationships. And these relationships are ending in a way that is abruptly, because that's what Uranus does. It brings things on suddenly, unexpectedly, and then it just brings you to a greater surrender. So, you know, are you listening? Are you really listening sacredly to where you're being guided to? There's even people that are facing having to be taken out of their homes. That's what I went through. You know, if you know that it's time to leave and you're not leaving because the energy is not supporting where you're at. There's even things that might be affected as far as electronical stuff, your computer, your phone. Is it time to upgrade your phone? And then upgrade it, because then it's going to just keep filling up. And then that's it. That's another story. The computers, the phone, your vehicles, electronic stuff is also being affected. Okay. Usually when you're starting to awaken, a lot of things start to break down around you. And that's a part of this cycle of changes. And as the new year comes in, a lot of things are going to be templating, especially because we're heading into the 1212 portal gateway is also open, because I've been seeing 1212. I don't know if any of you have been. I've been seeing 1212. And that's also opening that portal to another frequency. Because even last year when I did a video on 1212, and even all the stuff that happened with 1111 last year, Spirit showed me today that this is a different energy of ones. It's a different energy. It's like, think of when you're shifting within yourself, right? Or no, let me put it a different way. Say, for instance, there's something you tried to do last year, okay? And the universe was not supporting it in a way because it wasn't the right time. But now we're in an energy of where a lot more things are the right time. Okay. Meaning that even if you tried it before and it didn't work, it doesn't mean that you give up altogether. Try again and do it now, because you're in a different energy. You're in a different energetic field for how it can manifest for you. You see what I'm saying? So that's the difference. So you said your car had been acting crazy. Yeah, that's right. The car. I remember when my car had broke down when I had my truck, and I had 3 hard drives that crashed. I upgraded my phone at least 4 times during the course of changes. It was crazy. Sunroom fall apart. Oh my goodness. Glass break. It's just so much different things. Had to change glasses. My Beats didn't work anymore. Then it worked again. So it's a lot of energy that's coming, you know, coming through. Oh, and then my eyes, when I couldn't see near. I couldn't see near. That happened to me a couple weeks back. If you remembered when I did that last live, when I said I couldn't see, that when now it's back, now it came back again. So I'm able to see again. So it comes and goes, all these different things that I go through, you know, and especially with not being able to sleep. And I just let it go. I just let it go. I just really let it go. I don't let it affect me anymore, because I realize that it's a part of this ascension, you see. So, and it's not where I say, oh, you got to do something to stop it. No, this is a part of it. So you just embrace it. You just embrace it. That's it. You just embrace it. And, you know, I recommend again to dance or listen to music or sing. If you're having problems with your throat chakra with speaking, sing. It'll help to release a lot of that energy. A lot of times we have gone through things where we haven't spoken up. You know, the divine feminine had been suppressed for so long, where she wasn't able to speak up. She wasn't able to be her true self. You know what I mean? And it's all these little dogmatic things that have happened. There are some males that have gone through things in their lives where, oh, you know, be a man, shut up, don't talk, or or don't cry, you know, you're a sissy and a wuss and stuff like that. It's all these things is what we're shifting out of when it comes to relationships and the views that have been placed between males and females, not subjected to just a specific gender itself, but because we all carry both energies, okay? And so think again as the relationship that you have, especially for those on the twin soul path, pay attention to the relationships you had with all of your exes, all your first love, this one, baby mother, baby father, whatever, because guess what? They're helping you on your path to coming back to yourself. They're helping you on your path to what is helping you to come into a greater harmony with yourself, because for you to come into these sacred unions with your partners, it's about really how much you're harmonizing within yourself and what is balancing within themselves as well, and what are you working through within yourself in that space of healing, integrity, emotional integrity, where it's not about control and power over the other. The choices that you make, how much are you in your own emotional freedom? How much are you release or let go of codependencies of every kind? You know, what are your expectations? Do you have any expectations still? Are you detached from expecting or expectations? Are you independent or codependent? You know, there's all these different things, you know, because I could go on and on, but, you know, I'm just giving you examples of majorly with the changes that are happening for us as we are embarking into through the, you know, like I said, 11/11 is finished. It's almost done. For me, it is anyway. And new beginnings, because Gemini was at 0 point, you know, with the twins represent the pillar. And then in December, Cancer is going to be at 0 degrees on December 22nd. So that's a pillar of twos and twos and twos again, 12/22/2018. So as we are entering to that, as well as the fact that it has to do with how we are in that space of emotional integrity and balancing out yourself when it comes to your emotions, because we can't hide our feelings any longer. We can't hide our true feelings. You can't hide your true self. You see, your true self is, even as I'm speaking, my heart is palpitating in a good way, you know, in a good way, because I know that my soul is responding to all this energy, you know, in what comes through. So he said, you need a new car. Girl, I had to go through that too. I had to get a new car. Everything was new. And when I say everything, I even had to change the chair that I was sitting on, because it just broke. The chair just broke to pieces. Everything to do with my energy. I had to change my my cable box. I had to change. I had shoes that were falling apart. Everything old, all that old energy, just gone. Even things I thought I could save end up being thrown out without me knowing, because spirit just says, nope, nope, nope. Let's just get rid of it. I had to change charger. I had to change, oh my gosh, how many things? I had to change my bags. I had to change, you know how many times I even changed my selfie stick? I was having like about 10 selfie sticks. So it broke, just like that. Poof. You know, so, you know, it's all energy. It's all energy. So, and as you're upgrading, you know, you think of yourself as upgrading, and as you're upgrading, so are the things around you, you see? So are the things around you, and it's necessary, because it can't hold in that space if it's something that doesn't serve you. So that's why it's important to work through your shadow and embracing your shadow, because if you still ignore it or you don't want to look at it, it's a little bit more difficult to come into that greater manifestation, you see? So that's why you said electronics aren't writing or writing well for you. Oh, even today even today when I was trying to upload that video, it took 2 hours just for it to upload. 2 hours, because it was just all this energy, and then the computer was freezing up. Then I had to restart it again, and I was like, what the fuck, you know? And I just start to laugh. Yeah. Or even sometimes your phone might type, you know, all kind of stuff too. That happened as well, when my phone would just be typing not what I'm typing, you know, and all that. And of course, Mercury's in retrograde as well. How could I forget? Mercury's in retrograde, and I always have greater times, you know, with Mercury being in retrograde. That doesn't affect me in a sense like feeling pain or stuff like that. And Mercury's in Sagittarius. And so again, Sagittarius with what is expanding. And what's expanding is how we communicate with ourselves, how we communicate with others, you see? So Cancer takes us deep. Mercury, Jupiter is expanding. How do we communicate with each other? And the communication is changing, where it's not about what comes out with the words and how we're attached to words, but what is coming forth in communication, coming from our hearts, and how we relate to each other. How much are you being loving to yourself and to others? How much are you embracing all the parts of yourself that you didn't want to look at and still love it and nurture it, you know? Love the you that you are, you know, all the parts of you. Do you love your body? Do you love your face? Do you love yourself? You know, everything, the warts and mole and all. Anything that you feel that you didn't like about your body, take a picture. See if you could look at yourself in the mirror or the picture and see how much you're able to embrace yourself, you know. And if you feel you're not ready to do it now, then it's okay. You know what I mean? Because all of this is a part of how you come into your own union space, because you're letting go of how other people projected who you should be or how you should love yourself. Do you see what I'm saying? And you said, so Sagittarius expanding. Yes, Sagittarius expands. Yep. Well, not Sagittarius expanding. Sagittarius is more like, when I think of Sagittarius, I think of fire. Okay. So the fire is like you're getting fired up. So you see how everything is amplifying? Like, Jupiter expands, all the gifts expands, where if you are hiding who you are, it's like it's time to come out wherever you are. So that's where Jupiter and Sagittarius is doing that, you know. And this is not because I've read this anywhere. This is how I'm channeling and getting that right now, coming from spirit. And then Mercury in Sagittarius is like, if you've ever felt like you were not able to communicate effectively with yourself, okay, you know, what is communication for you in terms of your own expression, okay? And then the way that you communicate with yourself, right? How is that with others? Like, you know, for me, I'm very detailed, you know, and when I communicate in different ways. I don't communicate just by speaking words. Sometimes I might sing, sometimes I might dance, sometimes I might laugh, sometimes nothing at all. If you don't hear me say nothing, beware. No, I'm just kidding. So, you know, it's like I just do things differently when it comes to communication. Communication is my greatest pet peeve, you know, how we communicate. Do we communicate effectively, especially? Did the message come across, you know, or was it misunderstood? You know, but I don't worry about anymore whether it's misunderstood, but I'm just giving you an example. So we're reviewing everything. It's like, even now in this time and space, there's no, it's not even separating in different ways. It's like it's all happening all at once. That's why you feel like as if everything is happening all at once and you feel like everything is pouncing within you. That's how it makes you feel. When actually what it is that your soul is just not wanting to waste any time. It's like, it's like time's up. Time's up. It's like we're moving forward now. We're moving at a rapid pace because your soul is accelerating with all of this, you see? So that's why I call it like feeling like a rag doll, you know? You're feeling like a rag doll. You're feeling like you don't even know where you are anymore. Like, you know how many times I wake up and I'm like, dang, what's today? Like I forget what the day is because the time goes so fast. It's like, you know, November is in 1 minute it's my son's birthday. But I'm looking forward to punching at 12 o'clock. Oh my God, my Sagittarius son. But anyway, my Sagittarius SUN son. He was born on November 30th. It's November 30th now at 11:30 a.m. He's my third child. Always trolling, always joking around. And I know he's in my life to help to keep me in balance. Like if I get off track with any sadness, which is very difficult for me to be sad around my children because there's always laughter and trolling. So, you know, sometimes we just don't know how things come in waves for us in so many ways. You know what I mean? As we're ascending and moving through the elements, you know, and just not staying there for too long because we were really created to dance. It's a dance that we're having, you know. You're dancing even if you're not aware of the fact that you're dancing. You know, so Sagittarius just put some fire up in your ass. It puts some fire up in you. And that's how I describe myself, because he does that. He will fight. Oh man, does he? Okay. Like, and even if I cuss him, he still just lingers, still doesn't, not gonna stop. So it was just meant to be that way with him. And fire and air is like it just, you know, like that. So you think of what that element does for you. If you were the type of person that you were afraid to speak, Mercury in Sagittarius now is having you review how you're going to change yourself with now speaking out more. expressing yourself more, okay? But this time you're expressing coming from your heart. I'm glad I have you laughing. You know, only you're the only one, I think. But anyway, you know, how much you are expressing yourself more and expanding. So if, say, for instance, if you've always felt that you were meant to speak publicly, but you were afraid to stand up in front of people, you may end up starting that path to speaking in front of people. And sometimes it takes practicing in front of your family or friends or so on and so forth. You know what I mean? So either way, it's how we are expanding from our heart space instead of just the, you know, the mental space, okay? And bringing it into balance. Bring it into balance. It's all about balance. Balance, balance, balance. So anyway, lovely, beautiful souls, I am in gratitude for this moment, always, for when I can come on and, you know, even though it seems like a one-way conversation, but I can feel the energy and I can feel everything coming together in this oneness space, and I'm in gratitude of it. And it's like, again, remember that all the power lies within you. All the power lies within you. And it's knowing when to make that move and knowing when to let go. Knowing when it's time to let go and knowing when to make that move. Knowing when to come into that power, and with that power, you're also humble at the same time. Knowing when you are sweet and soft, and knowing when to be just, you know, and it you know, and that you're not more one way than the other, because, you know, that's what brings you off balance. Do you see what I'm saying? And if you are not able to be true to yourself and feel safe and trusting within yourself, because that starts from with you. It's not where you say, oh, I'm going to get it from someone. You're having it within yourself, you know, because usually when we don't get what we want, then that's when the temper comes, you know, the child. And then when the inner child feels wounded and in pain and carries that pain because you feel like you're ignored, or if you feel like you're rejected because you're trying to express yourself, and so you become, you know, angry inside, and then it forms into something, you know. It's like I talk about the element of the water, you know, becomes ice. You know, how many people you know that are like ice cold? They're just rigid and cold inside. There's no laughter left in them. There's no joy. Nothing. They can have all the things in the world. There's nothing inside. And so now we're shifting through the elements of what has been hard and cold, coming back to that heart, you see. And that's what love does. It warms your heart. I hope it does. I know it does for me. You know, I rather talk about lovely things sometimes more than the other stuff. But you know what? When other stuff comes through that, you know, really ignites my what do you call it? The fire, relight the fire or something like that. You know, sometimes it's necessary to have that, because what it does, it gives you an extra boost. You know, I think about the movie Ray, from Ray Charles, when he was, you know, having all those relationships with those females. And when she told him she was pregnant, and he was dismissing her until to get rid of the baby, she got so angry. And then what it did is that it allowed her to come into a greater expression of herself. And how that worked is the fact that she got so angry. She says, you know what, from now on, it's strictly business between us, you know. So sometimes these things happen because it gives us that extra boost, you see. And that's what Sagittarius is doing. You're getting an extra boost. You're getting an extra, what do you call it, power that is igniting within you, okay? And you're becoming the supreme goddesses and gods of the earth. But if you are in fear of that power, then it's kind of just stays right there dormant, you see? And so now it's about you awakening yourself to that power that you have that's within you, because that inner power is what also ignites the other things and the other elements of things that you are creating, okay? So if it means that you're facing your emotional pain and facing, you know, the emotional sorrow or anything that you have attached to alchemize through it, or, you know, push through it, then do so, because what it'll do is create more space for you, so that way you become more creative, and things start to flow and move through, you know, in that abundance, okay? So that is what I have to share with you for today. So I'm in gratitude again. If you have any messages, and yeah, it is a hell of a boost. And once again, I am offering 30 minute readings for the month of December, $44.44. Feel free to check out my website, www.thereturnofthegardenofeden.com. There's also my page, Sharon Andrea, The Return of the Garden of Eden. My YouTube is also Sharon Andrea. Instagram is _love_Sharon. And you'll find a vast amount of information on YouTube, where I started out on my own twin soul journey, from speaking in tongues to revelations to everything. And it's all going in the book. I do have another segment that I'll be putting together eventually. I don't know when. It had to do with what was revealed to me through Source came into my bedroom, and it was a very powerful moment for me. And that is what kind of hit me like a light bulb today, when I realized, what am I hiding? There's nothing for me to hide, because as I tread forth, there's more things that are coming through between, next year and the year after and the year after. The next 10 years from now, we're not doing and being the same way anymore. And if you continue to numb and dumb down yourself, you'll get lost in the shuffle. And this is not about getting lost, because you already found. It's just what you've been taught that you're releasing to stepping into this power. We're talking about coming back into telekinesis, telepathy. I've been having more telepathic communication coming from my divine complement, which I've never had before. He's giving me dates, times, situations, everything, conversation. It's amazing. It's amazing. And this is what it's about, is being able to talk about these things and not be in fear of what someone may say because they don't understand. Or if I talk about, having communication from my galactic family, even my daughter, there was a galactic family member visiting here where I am. That happened when we were at the other house. So it doesn't matter. Wherever we go, that's where we are. And we're not in fear. We walk boldly with this. That's right. See? So just know that you have a friend right over here that we can talk about everything. I will talk scientifically, galactically, twinly, whateverly, all of it, lovely, heartly. If you want to get down into the groove and call somebody this, no, I'm just kidding. But you know what I mean. Just be yourself, okay? Be your true, authentic self. And just don't forget to love. Don't forget to laugh. Meditate, pray, however you do it for you. Whatever floats your boat, whatever makes you feel good inside, okay? Then you do that. It's okay to cry with laughter, and it's okay to cry with sorrow. Just remember to complete that circle. Always complete that circle, because you are infinite. You're infinite, okay? We're all infinite beings, and we're always in the moment of experiencing everything all the time, because that is your truest desire, okay? So anyway, I'm going to play this little music. Hopefully Facebook is not going to cut me off of that, okay? And it's just a little bit of Bob Marley, just to kind of ease the energy, okay? Just to ease the energy and just go with that flow, Going with the flow is one of the best things you could ever do. Just breathe. Just breathe. If you feel anxious and if you feel angry, just take a deep breath and just release. Just release. Just do that with me right now as we shift wherever you are right now. If you're on the toilet, if you're in the table eating, if you're hiding in the corner, come out and just raise up your hands in the air and just take it easy. Easy skanking, okay? I'm not going to get up and dance right now because I don't feel like it, but you can still skank right where you're at. Just move the body, because the soul was not made to be still. We were made to move. Everything is in movement even while you're still, okay? Everything, all things, all of life, everything is in flow, and I'm in gratitude now. I see myself wherever you are. We're at the beach, we're on the mountaintop, everywhere, because the soul desires to feel through all of this and all the experiences of life with joy, okay? And everything that we're coming back to, it is necessary to move through all these blocks by moving and also being still. And so it is, my darlings. I love you.